All right, good morning again, everyone. Today we're going to look at a new theme.
Sir, I didn't hear my name.
Who is that?
Shannon.
Yeah, but you said yes, sir, and I marked you.
Me?
Yeah,
I didn't.
yeah, man, I marked Shannon. Uh, uh, so today we're going to start societal institutions, which is one topic. By next week, we should finish this topic by next week. And then we are going to move, then you are going to go into your presentations. The presentation will be on Wednesday and Thursday of next week. And then we are through with module one. So we are on track, which is good that we almost finished module one, or we would have completed module three in the common hour, and then we have also started module two in the common hour. So I'm encouraging you to go to, well, I know we have issues with the common hour, especially not issue, but in terms of the Zoom meeting, it only can take up to 100 students. So please watch the recordings for the common hour if you are not able to attend the class. All right, the common hour. So today we're going to start societal institution. And the first thing that we need to know is what do we mean by societal institution? Now, when you hear the word societal institution, what comes to mind? Societal institution, Green, Abigail Green.
Yes, sir.
When you hear the word societal institution, what comes to mind? What type of institutions pop in your head?
People coming together.
Yes, people coming together. So that is a good way of starting the definition. Yes, people coming together. Let me see. Okay, student. Shaw, Shaw, Lauren Shaw.
Yes, sir.
When you hear the word societal institution or the phrase societal institution, what comes to mind?
Um, Social needs. So that
Social,
would be the government.
all right, social needs, government, very good. All right, all of those things are also part of societal institution. Uh, Smith, Kimberly,
Yes, sir.
when you hear the word societal institution, what comes to mind?
Like school, church.
School, church, all right, very good. Gilbert,
So when I think of societal institutions, I think of different like areas or different groups in like society that basically teach us the norms and how to behave in society, basically,
yes,
just how to
very,
function.
yes, You're correct. So all the responses so far, they are on track. So when we talk about societal institutions, we're talking about those institutions in society that basically, as you would have mentioned, that teach us norms or values that guides our behavior, that establish standards or pattern, anything that institutions uh, that govern how we should behave or dictate how we behave or how we really relate to each other. One of the first students would have said people living together. Anyone that live together within the same space, and if you live together in the same space, then you have to have some form of guidelines how you relate to each other within the space. It's not that the space is a free for all, although some spaces is a free for all, which could be a norm in some societies. And so when we talk about societal institutions, we're talking about the family, education, religion, the political and the justice system, because all of these areas here are involved in the socialization of individuals. The family is the first place of primary socialization. The school, religion, and the justice systems are secondary. The family, the education system, the religious system, the political system, the justice system, in fact, dictate to us how we should behave. What are the norms and what are the values of the society? What is accepted, what is not accepted? All right. So Mendez, Selena Mendez. Selena is not here. Laurie?
Oh, sir, Selena has to type in the chat.
All right, so Mendez, type in the chat from what I've said to you, a workable definition of societal institution. We're waiting on you. Type in the chat a definition of societal institution. From what I've said earlier on, explaining what is societal institution, what we mean by societal institution. Write in the chat, maybe one line, what is societal institution? Jessica.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So if someone should wake you up tonight and ask you, what is societal institution, what would you say to them?
It's the different groups in a society, I guess, that, as they said before, contribute to your like beliefs and values.
Yes, belief and values, but what is the main ingredient of societal institution? What are their main purpose? Belief and values are important aspect, but what are they supposed to do?
To teach, like, to instill those in you.
Teach what?
Though I don't know what word to use.
When you go to school, what they do in and you're in the assembly hall, every morning you repeat certain what? What they ask you to repeat, the school's what?
The mission and the core values.
Core values, very well. So at school they teach you about the core values. And the core values supposed to do what? What are the purpose of the core values and the mission statement?
To add to the makeup of our behavior as students of the school.
Repeat.
It adds to how we behave during school and in life in general.
Very good. How we behave. How you should behave in school and in life in general. So therefore, societal institutions establish standards how we should behave. So it's not just about beliefs, but every time you go to school and you repeat the mission statement and the core values, it is saying these are the patterns of behaviors that we expect from you or what you should emulate. All right? Now, the family. So the first one that we're going to start with is the family. And the family is basically the first place in which we are socialized, the first place that teaches us how we should behave. It's a primary social unit. It teaches us morals, it teaches us values. And usually the family are persons who are either blood related, those who are married, or some people are adopted. Now, what are some of the main functions of your family? So look at your family and what are some of the functions? McDonald, Anya.
Yes, sir. A family
What?
is to provide support.
So your family is to
Not just
provide
like
support.
financially, but like, mentally and emotionally.
Mental support. Yes, very good. Sinclair.
Well, you have the family head, whether it's your mother, your uncle, your father. They're supposed to help the children, like guide them in ways that they're supposed to go. For example, teach them how to respect people in society and teach them different ways and social norms.
Social norms. So the big word right there is socialization. How you should relate to each other in the family unit and how you should relate to persons outside of your family. Right? So very good. Another function of the family.
Sir?
Go ahead for me.
Could one function be like procreation?
Yes, procreation is very important because without procreation, you can't have a family. Explain to the class what you mean by procreation, Gilbert.
Sir, so like they're supposed to basically grow the population, so have children to, to become in order to put them in society to become productive citizens.
Very good, very good. Yes, you're correct. Another function of the family. Thomas? Thomas?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Yes, another function. Every morning you go to school, your parents give what the parents give to you.
Sir, lunch money?
Lunch money. When you go home, you have to pay rent,
No, sir.
you have to pay for dinner,
No, sir.
you pay the water bill,
No, sir.
you pay the internet bill,
No, sir.
clothes,
No, sir.
you buy your own clothes.
No, sir.
All right. So what type of function that is the family has?
Sir, financial?
Financial, yes. They have a financial responsibility or economic responsibility. Yes, so you are correct. So the family is involved in functions of the family, socialization. They are supposed to socialize you into the culture, the norms, the values, the practices of society, religion, politics. Yes, depends on your family that you grew up in. Your family, your religion is very important because if you grew up in a family that is of a particular denomination, more likely the children will follow that denomination. So if you grew up and your family is a Jehovah's Witness, then you're going to be a Jehovah's Witness. Your mother and father Jehovah's Witness, you'll be a Jehovah's Witness. If your mother and father Seventh-day Adventist, you grew up Seventh-day Adventist. If your mother and father Pentecostal, you're Pentecostal. And even if you decide that you don't have nothing to do with the church or religion on a whole, deep down in the back of your mind, you have some of those religious tenets from those churches or religious group. If you grew up in a home that is, they are Hindu, more likely you follow Hinduism. Same thing for Islam. If you grow up in a home where people don't go to church, more likely you might not go to church. And also, so the family socialize you in how you view religion. The family also socialize you in politics. So if you are in a household that the family members follow a particular political party, then more likely you're going to support that political party. Am I wrong?
No, sir.
Sir.
No, sir.
Yes. So if you're in a household, even if you can't vote and your parents don't allow you, well, you can't vote, legally you can't vote. But every time you peer and you're not even interested in watching the news, and you don't watch the news, but every time you go into the kitchen when the news is going on to get at your dinner, or you sit around the table, or you sit in the couch eating your dinner, because not every household, not every family sit around table. Some people go outside and sit and eat on the veranda. Some people go and sit in the living room. Some people go in the bedroom and eat separate. Some people eat at different times, right? Maybe some families, people, you only eat together as a family, maybe only on a Sunday. But while you are going about your business and the news is going on and a particular politician comes on the TV, you're going to hear the remarks from your parents and it will go into your psyche. You're driving home with them and they're listening to the news, and a political discussion comes on. You're going to hear their view, and that is also part of the socialization process. And so socialization is a very important role function of the family. We mentioned reproduction or procreation. We talk about the economic function and also emotional support. Your family is supposed to love you, comfort you, care for you, protect you. And in the Caribbean today, we have many, many different types of family forms in the Caribbean. In fact, we have one of the family types that we have is the nuclear family, which is the father, the mother, or husband, wife, and the nice little baby. Nuclear. And then there are some homes in the Caribbean. Not all the homes are nuclear, but they are extended. Their grandma, grandpa live in the same, under the same roof. Children, the little dog here, the father, sometimes uncle, auntie, and that's the extended family. So even within your own group, if we should do a survey in this class, you have persons who live in nuclear homes and extended homes. And there are some of us who are from single parent home, where it is mother and the children that lives together, or the father and the children that lives together. Single parent family. Then we have another type of family in the Caribbean that is visiting family. The woman lives with her children separately from their father. So the woman and the father, they are still together. They are not separated. They live together. He helps with the bills. They're having sexual relations. But every time it comes at a particular time of the day, he's going to go to his home. Visiting, the father comes and visits. In fact, he could get all his meals at the home, but he doesn't live under the same roof as the woman. The woman and the children live together. And so this is what we consider to be the visiting family. Anybody has ever heard of the visiting family or know of one before? Know of the visiting family? Is it the first time you're hearing about the visiting family?
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
All right. So yes for some, no for some. Yes. So the visiting family is a very important family in the Caribbean. Very, very popular. Very popular family type. Then you have what we call the blended family in the Caribbean. And so the blended families partners with children from previous relationship. So a man and a woman, they had children from previous relationship, but they live together with both children. So you have your stepbrother or your stepsister that live with you and your stepfather. That's blended. That's another family type in the Caribbean, blended family. Also, in the Caribbean, a very popular union is common law union. And common law union is when the partners live together, so a man and a woman live together, but they are not legally married. They never go in front of any pastor or go to the RGD, the Register General, and sign a paper to say we are married. They live together, and sometimes they live together for 15 years. And there's a lot of families, a lot, that the man and the woman live together for 20, 40 years and they are not married. Legally, it is called common law union. And in the Caribbean, common law union is not recognized by law. Common law union recognized by law. In fact, if a man and a woman should live together for 5 to 7 unbroken years, at the end of the relationship, if they decide that they're going to end the relationship, the woman benefits, has to get 50% of his stuff. Did you know about that, ladies?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So the woman is entitled to 50%. She can take him to court because a lot of time people live together, common law union. And because the law now pass about common law union, you find a lot of people who are not, what do you call it now? People who are not legally married, that they put together and they buy a house and they buy a car. Some people, females would say, me, I'm not buying any car with any man that I'm not legally married to. I'm not buying a house with anybody who I'm not legally married to. I'm not going to start a business. Then suppose him start to give me bond. And then he decide that he's going to leave me. That female, or this female here, she's protected by the law. Because in the event that he finds somebody else, because she would have invested heavily in the home, she would have invested heavily in the business, in the car, in the relationship. Sometimes she don't even have to work. Because there are situations where I was watching, I think about 2 to 3 years ago, I was watching a program on the TV, and it said, a program from Jamaica, the Ministry of Justice. The lady was a teacher. She has, I'm not even sure she was a teacher, but she had her job. And the man said to her, she should leave the job to take care of the children. She now left her job. And then the man now finds somebody else out there. And he come to her and tell her that, listen, this is my house, you need to go. Real life situation, real situation that people is going through right now, you know. You have to leave because this is my house. You have never worked before. But who cook the dinner every day? Who wash your clothes? Who hang out the clothes? Who go and pay the bills? Who go to the supermarket? That would have been her investment in the relationship. So she might not contribute financially, and sometimes when he gives her some money to buy the groceries, she take maybe a portion of that money and save it, and they benefit from it. And so in relationship like this, that a relationship like that what was on the TV, the judge said that, I think they went mediation, they didn't went to the court. They went mediation and they said to them that, listen, she's entitled to a portion of everything. So it's that they sell the house and give her a portion. Or if you don't want to sell the house, they give her, you value the house. So if the house costs 5 million, then you need to give her $2.5 million. And so common law union is very, very popular in the Caribbean. Also, it is super popular. And So when we look at the Caribbean family is very complex. The Caribbean family is very diverse, just like its history. The Caribbean family is very colorful. And so in the pre-colonial times, this is before the arrival of the Europeans, the indigenous peoples, they had their types of families. Some indigenous groups, the male was able to have more than one wife. There are some that had wives. So there are some one wife. There's some indigenous groups that the females tend to live in separate houses from the male. And then when we turn now to the colonial period, and the colonial period is divided into two sections, the pre-emancipation and the post-emancipation period. In the pre-emancipation is before slavery ended, and the post-emancipation period is after slavery ended. And so in the pre-emancipation period, the nuclear family was very prevalent among the whites. And during slavery, enslaved were not permitted to get married. And so what happened is that you have a lot of common law unions that emerged during slavery, and a lot of visiting family, because they used to separate families. And so the male would live on one estate and the female and the children live on the other estate. And the male enslaved would visit the female and the children on the other estate. Visiting is something that would have started during slavery. And there are, on some plantation, the male and the female live together with their children, but they are not legally married. And we have a perfect example of a common law union with Thomas Thistlewood, who was also a white planter, and he lived with a female slave, which was Phibia, in the Great House. So the common law union didn't exist only between blacks, but also between blacks and whites. And then when after slavery ended, some of these very same family types, the visiting and the common law, continues into the post-emancipation period and into the independence period. And so we have, when indentureship came, the East Indians and the Chinese lived together in extended families. The grandmother, the grandfather, the uncle, the sister, everybody under the same roof. I remember when I was living in Linstead, because that's where my mother and my father's house is, in Linstead. And when I used to live there, I realized that around 11 o'clock, when the wholesales closed, I said the man driving the vehicle in the wholesale, like he moved the things and then driving the vehicle. I said, how? This is like a Chinese family. And I said, how the Chinese just drive the vehicle into the wholesale, just like that. They drive the vehicle in, and I later learned that they lived at the back. So you have the wholesale at the front, and they live in the back. Everybody, mother, father, sister, brother, everybody. I have some East Indian side of my family, and it's the same thing with them. They live extended. Everybody live under the same roof. And in the India families, notice the word India, not indigenous. In the India families, you tend to have a lot of patriarchy or male dominance. And then in the independence period, what we have seen in the independence period is a lot of single parent households. So they should do a survey right now in your school, you will realize that majority of the students live in single parent household. And not only single parents, but matrifocal, meaning that the mother has control. And even in Black families, because matrifocal is not only a single parent construct, but you could live in a nuclear family that the house is very matrifocal. All the decision goes around the mother. So if you need to go somewhere, your father said to you, say, go and ask your mother. You need extra money, go and ask your mother. You want a phone, go and ask your mother. Matrifocal homes. But although in the Caribbean we have common law unions, we have matrifocal, visiting family, patriarchy, the ideal that most people tend to want is the nuclear. People want to get married. And in the independence period, we have laws that were passed to recognize common law unions. In the Caribbean today, we have several different factors affecting the families. Migration, poverty, health, crime, father absenteeism, and father can be absent either one, because you have some males, once they are not with the in a sexual relationship with the female, is that it seems as if they are just finished with the children. You have some people who have never met their father before. They don't know who they, and then I've had friends who have never met their mother. The mother is still alive, but they have never met them. So these are some of the reality. There are some children who actually grew up with their grandparents because the mother and the father live abroad. There's this young man on the, what do they call this place? This Rush Cam. Go ahead for me.
Sir, what are barrel children?
So the barrel children is that barrel children are those children who the mother and the father live abroad, and the children usually live with their either auntie or an uncle or a grandparents. More likely it is the uncle. And so what the parents do is that they send money and they send barrel for the children. They are taking care of the children, but they are not there physically. So those children are called barrel children.
Okay, thank you, sir.
No problem. And so do you know a young man that do the, what do you call it again? The YouTube thingy named Rushcam?
Yes, sir.
So Rushcam is I wouldn't consider Rushcam as a barrel children. I went to school with him in Kville. And well, we weren't friends at Kville, but when he was in I was in Barbados way before them, and they came after. And while you know, I saw him couple, I not even know that he was doing YouTube. I saw him in Sugar and Spice, and I get to realize that he's doing YouTube. But I was watching one of his videos, and he had some video with his mother that he was trying to mend the relationship with his mother. And his mother said to him that, "You're upset that I was not here physically, but who sent you to school? Who paid this and who paid that?" She said that she had to leave Kingston to go to Montego Bay to work. Migration. So it's not only migration to foreign countries, but you have also internal migration within the country. Some people have to leave and go to work in Montego Bay, but you can't carry the children with you, because who is going to take care of the children while you're at work? You leave them with the grandparents. And so he grew up with his grandparents, but although his mother was there taking care of him, and he developed a resentment towards his mother because of that she wasn't there physically. Right? And so these are some factors, because of the economic situation in our country, that influence the Caribbean family. All right? And so another situation or institution in the Caribbean is the education system. Education is a very, very important part of the socialization process. You go to school, primary school or prep school, secondary school, university. And people who go to university tend to think differently from those who just didn't attend university. University trained people or educated people tend to have a different outlook on life. They tend to be more tolerant to different groups in the society than persons who are not university trained or educated. And so education is the formal schooling. It can also be informal, but it's the formal schooling. You go to school, you learn how to behave, you learn the 5 magic words. Is it 5 magic words they used to say when we used to go basic school? The 5 magic words: please, thank you, excuse, sorry, something like that. You learn how to dress, what is appropriate to go to school, what is not. If you disrespect someone in school, there's consequences. If you disrespect an elder, somebody or one of your peers, you're not supposed to fight. You must love each other and peacefully. You learn the core values every morning. Education is part of the socialization process. And so in the pre-colonial period, the indigenous peoples, their education system was very informal. The females learn how to do the domestic things and to weave the basket. The males learn skills of hunting and fighting and all of these different stuff. As again, the colonial education period, which is a very popular part on the exam, during the colonial period, you had formal education for the whites. So the first part, which is the pre-emancipation before slavery, schools were developed, but the schools were not developed for blacks, they were developed for whites. The whites who lived in the colony. So for example, in Barbados, you have Combermere, which was developed in 1682. Barbados, again, you have Harrison's and the Lodge College, two different schools. Harrison College was 1733. Harrison was 1733. Lodge was 1745. In Jamaica, Wolmer's, which was the first, 1729. Titchfield in Portland, 1786. Manning's in Westmoreland. Jamaica College in St. Andrew, 1795. These were the early schools in the Caribbean that caters only for whites. In fact, a law was passed in Jamaica that blacks could not attend Jamaica College. If you're black, you couldn't go to JC. The government of Jamaica would have passed that law. Same thing for Wolmer, same thing for Titchfield, same thing for Manning's. If the founders of these schools should wake up right now and see the blacks in the schools, they would be so ashamed, because most of these persons who would have started these schools were white planters, sugarcane planters, who were there who established these schools to educate whites. And so these schools are called trust schools because they were willed. Money were left in people's will for the establishment of these schools. I think San Diego was established before Jamaica College. San Diego, which is in Spanish Town. It was called Beckford and Smith. And so for these trust schools, blacks were not allowed. In fact, when blacks started to go to JC in the 1960s, the head boy said, Jamaica College has not gone to the dogs. The dogs have come to Jamaica College. 1960s, the first day the black boys them walk into the school. They feel so good to be, to enter the school premise. They get scholarship because they were very bright and they got scholarships. And they reach to school now, and the first thing they reach in the assembly hall, the head boy looked up and said, Jamaica College has not gone to the dogs. The dogs have come to Jamaica College. And the principal did nothing. In fact, from 1795 until today, Jamaica College has had about 4 black principals. When I went there, it was a white man who was the principal. A white British was the principal. British man was the principal. Same thing, a friend of mine went to this school. Where that school name again? In St. Elizabeth. You have Monroe, and beside Monroe is Hampton, in Hampton High. And the girls that her mother was the first black principal of Hampton, and that was around like the 1980s. First black principal for Hampton High was in the 1980s, 30 years ago. And so Hilary Beckles, who is a historian, he said that the slaves who taught themselves to read had to keep their accomplishment a secret. Laws were passed that blacks should not be educated. Errol Miller, very important scholar in the education sector, said that while some may have justified the lack of provision for slaves by denying their human status, the fear was that education would be subversive of both slavery and the plantation. There were some people who said that the enslaved people, you're not supposed to teach them to read. But some enslaved people taught themselves to read. And they couldn't go and make people know that they could read. They had to keep that as a secret. But 10 years before slavery ended, the government of the day said to the church that, listen, we are going to give you some money to train the enslaved people how to be free people, how to operate as free people when we give them their freedom. And that was the first time that blacks in the Caribbean was getting some form of education, and that was through the Sunday school. And there's a lot of people in Jamaica today that they learn to read, and in the Caribbean at large, that they learn to read at church. And that is something that takes place from slavery, from before slavery ended until now. So when we return, ladies, for tomorrow, we are going to pick up at the post-emancipation period, and then we are going to go into religion. All right? Enjoy the rest of the afternoon.
Bye, sir.
Bye,
Bye.
sir.
Same to you, sir.
Yes, yes.